Hey, party people. Welcome to another Whatever Jerrod Says. This is actually officially the first episode on my new YouTube channel, and I'm very excited. Today, we're very fortunate because I am going to be interviewing somebody. Now, those of you that are privy to the Whatever Jerrod Says that I run on the Facebook, it's normally me getting drunk and rambling on for hours. But for this YouTube page, I thought I'd try a different forum where I'll reach out to some of the people that I've talked to in the past and kind of be very topical with them and interview them, right? And so we can really get to the meat and potatoes of what's going on in society. So if you have a topic that you would like to talk about, feel free to hit me up on Whatever Jerrod Says on Facebook, or you can comment down below on this channel. And if you're willing to be interviewed on cam, we'll do it. We'll hash things out. I think together we could probably change the world. So I'm very honored tonight because my first guest, Marquita, she's a friend of mine. I met her out at Vandenberg Air Force Base, California. And instead of me introducing her, I'll let her introduce herself. So Marquita, welcome. Please tell everybody about yourself.
Hi, thank you, Jerrod. This is so awesome to be the first person. But my name is Marquita. I'm a retired U.S. Air Force vet, did 20 years. I did strictly comm, a lot of cyber stuff, so don't try to BS me. But I'm also a mom, 2 kids, tried to swing that, twice. And I have a boy and a girl. My son, one of the things that I love about him, I'm an advocate for autism. He's one of those high functioning, go get you, wait about 5 days to tell you the equation of something. And you're like, oh yeah, I totally knew that. But anyway, and then I have a daughter who is now about to be a senior. And one of the things about her is that she's really able to vocally tell me what she's dealing with this COVID thing. So it's being a mom of these 2. And then of course me, I'm an advocate for people that have ADHD. Yep, that's right, rolling in it. So it was late caught, but once again, I'm Marquita. I do have other interests, but right now I'm Jerrod's friend.
And you're a very good friend. Thank you so much for being here tonight.
Not a problem.
One, awesome. Being a mom, I too have a son with autism, so I'm with you on that. So tonight, what topic would you like to talk about?
So as I was joking with you all week, trying to figure out what to throw out there, and you said one topic, man, just one topic. And I said, and of course, ADHD said, no, throw 2 at once. Yeah. So anyway, I figured the 2 in 1 would be, and the title would be COVIDing with George Floyd.
COVIDing with George Floyd. Okay. So let me start out the interview with, do you think COVID and George Floyd are synonymous?
Now, I thought about that question a lot because I kept thinking synonymous. Are they the same? Would you say COVID rolling into George Floyd? No. Mm-hmm. I would say that COVID became a vehicle to understand what the issue was behind George Floyd's murder. Okay. It opened that door because people could not leave. People were at home. Right. People are sitting here on the couches, and I'm not gonna lie, personally, a lot of times I hear from people that, oh, I didn't hear that. Oh, I didn't see it. I want to wait until we get more evidence when it comes to anything with Black America or shooting down of people, anyone, honestly, but primarily, with Black lives that matter. So that's the reason why, for me, I think COVID, as detrimental, as dangerous as it is, actually became so important to actually amplifying human rights in America.
Okay, that's a very interesting perspective. So, so then I guess we could say that COVID is an individual concern, and the George Floyd death is an individual concern, but maybe at a pivotal point that, as you say, any issues right now, you're saying any issues right now because we're in lockdown, well, and not so much right now, but back then we were in lockdown and we were really forced to see a lot of what media had to offer. And so
Exactly.
are you suggesting that possibly that had we not had the virus and George Floyd died, we wouldn't see the same reaction? And you have to take the good with the bad, right? We wouldn't see the reaction of, say, the looting and rioting. Would you suggest? Would you think that we might still have looting and rioting? As the after
So
death.
so here's what I got.
Hmm?
I feel like COVID drew our attention in because one, we're already isolated.
Right.
Focal point is internet, TV.
Right.
Like, we are literally media driven right now.
Sure.
Sometimes even the little things are too much, but to see something of this nature
Mm-hmm.
by all races, by all people, I think that had COVID not occurred, I feel like we would just be still sitting here going and waiting for someone to say, well, we didn't get the video, or we're waiting on the audio.
Right.
Because as much as being a Black person in America has its own trials and tribulations, and
Sure.
a lot of us don't fuss with it. We don't fuss over it, especially in the military.
Right.
We look at it from the perspective of UCMJ. We have people that we have to respond to. People are held accountable. There's an additional accountability, but of course, there's still bias. That's internal to everyone.
Yeah.
So I looked at it as, with COVID actually making everyone sit down, the situation with people being able to sit there and look and watch a man expire is what really inflamed.
Media is definitely different now.
It's inflamed.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
So
everybody has access to it.
Yes, they do.
And for those of you watching, I mean, honestly, if you look at the FBI statistics, you'll see how many people have cell phones in this country. And so, and during the Obama era, the drive was for technology and, the free phone systems that went out, things like that. So would you say, again, going back to what you had said, now we have like a third topic, but I'm not going to go into it because, thank you, ADHD. No, I think the third topic would be, Black America too, right? And you've kind of broached on a completely different subject matter. Maybe you and I can have another interview later on about that, because
sure.
I have questions, and I know people that will watch this will have questions, right? So
already give you a title.
Sticking on topic. So would you say, like, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm thinking what you're saying is that because the virus hit when it did, and then a series of misfortunate events occurred, that it was more in your face.
Yes.
So my question to go back is that, a follow-up question on that one would be, is that, do you think America would take George Floyd's death as being something significant if we didn't have the virus? Because we have in our recent past.
No.
Okay, well, so
I'm not saying that there would not have been advocates. There would not have been a time where people go, whoa, what the heck?
Yeah.
There is the fear that has occurred over and over and over again with Black America when Black men, women are getting shot, and on video. Mind you, video hasn't really halted the process. We can talk about police officers and stuff like that, but that in itself, you think technology would halt this. It's still happening. So when you're still seeing it happen, you want this one time to be, oh, they're going to look at it. They're going to do something about it. They're going to, and then it's deflated because now they're off. They got off for free, or something happened, or there's a technicality, or lovely, the media on its other side starts to say, well, that person had a bad reputation, so we don't know. And I'm like Aubrey, Lamar Aubrey, whenever he passed on, they were saying, oh, he's a martyr of a burglar chain. I'm like, what? That's what happened.
It's crazy. So you bring up a good point about the fact that because we have media, because we have cameras, you think that this would halt things. And I think society in itself, I think in a sociological point of view, honest, if we had cameras in the 1800s or in the 1500s or in the year 800 over in the UK, you would see a lot of these similarities today. One of my theories, one of my belief systems stems off of a theory by a guy named Emil Durkheim, who's a French sociologist in the mid to late 1800s, and he talked about how we as humans have an innate penchant for violence, and that
Okay.
the further we are away from our social institutions, such as family, churches, and few people have heard me talk about this before, the further away from it, more isolated we get. And then as we become isolated, we do things like commit suicide, or we go and have, or we find other deviant people and create deviant behavior.
I have to think on
We're
that
literally
too.
the only species that has to tell each other to not do bad things.
Mm.
And we're the only ones that can. So a lion will protect its pride. If a cheetah comes in there, a lion don't care that it's a cheetah. A lion will attack the cheetah if it gets close enough, right? No
Mm-hmm.
other lion's going, yo, man, it's just a cheetah. Don't eat it. You know what I mean? Lion's like, yep, you're in my territory. I'm going to eat you, right? And so since we're primates and we're kind of animals still too, it is in our innate genetic makeup that we have a penchant for violence, and so the whole survival of the fittest kind of things. But what stops us is that we do have social institutions, right?
We have
You
a
know,
reason.
exactly. And right now, I just think there's a lot of non-reason. So let me ask you the next question then. Please explain to me the difference between Freddie Gray and George Floyd.
Ooh, it was
Freddie
hidden.
Gray was was that like 4 years ago now? That was
It was
2016.
hidden.
Yeah. God, time flies. Jesus.
I know. It's just been so long.
Yeah.
If I'm correct, this is the one that's out of Baltimore, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Gentleman was in put in chains.
Well,
And
he was handcuffed.
he handcuffed. He had legs were bound.
Right.
He was
And it's in the
handcuffed
back of a
inside
van.
of the exactly. So the difference. Well, once again, excuses. Well, Baltimore has such a high crime rate.
Right.
The attention on it was based on the first instance you see is, oh, well, that's Baltimore. And then the fact that, oh, well, he had a knife.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact is that the guy had no way to secure himself.
Right.
And
I'm sorry to cut you off, but okay. So I guess maybe what I should say is not necessarily a difference, because instead of getting the specifics, because I mean, in the end, and this is going to sound harsh, but 2 people died that maybe shouldn't have died. Right.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying Freddie Gray deserved to die
No. I never
nor
took it
George
that way.
Floyd. In fact, they both did not deserve to die. And I'm of the belief that a majority of the time, if there's an unarmed person and there is an armed person, the unarmed person doesn't deserve to die. A majority of the time, right? There may be rare circumstances that use of deadly force has to apply.
Really rare.
So I guess what I'm really, I guess the real question I'm asking is that, so a societal point of view, do you think that people weren't as serious about Freddie Gray as they are George Floyd? And do you think that maybe your idea of COVID is the explanation as to why?
So I think that the advocacy wasn't as strong with Freddie Gray. Mm-hmm. Not to take away from Baltimore, not to take away from the advocates, the Black Lives Matter and them at that time, but you didn't have anyone sitting still to watch this happen. Also, it was hidden. Think about it. There was no video to see the man die. It was all in a paddy wagon. It happened.
I got you.
And then he died
so
in the hospital.
Is a little bit rougher. Yeah.
So the impact is different when you're able to see it happen.
Yeah, I can agree.
That's what makes it worse.
Yeah.
That's what really makes it worse. So I think it's just seeing it.
Yeah. I think, okay, so I can agree with you a little bit on that. Like, but the nation still had an outcry for Freddie Gray.
Yes, right? They did. And
you had the BLM movement, the BLM movement, and you had the same thing. You had looting and rioting going on, right?
Uh-huh.
And so, so to say that it wasn't in people's face per se, maybe a little skewed, right?
Okay.
But I probably can agree with you a little bit that definitely being locked in your house and not much else to do than watch TV. So do you think that, in the comparison of the two, do you think that this George Floyd incident is an overreaction?
Good one. No.
Well, okay.
I say that point blank like that because I'm not looking at it from the technicalities of the right and wrong,
Yeah.
of what happened to the person and what they brought upon themselves to have the cops. I'm looking at the actual nuance of looking at TV, and
Yeah.
TV is supposed to be a good time.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
see someone.
Long gone is that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I see someone, and you know how we are. We'll be up in the middle of the night and we were watching something, and sometimes that thing doesn't lead to anything. But we're watching it, and before you know it, this just happened. You just realize that just happened.
Yeah.
So I think nuance-wise, right?
Sure.
That is the reason why I think the emphasis is really what kicks us into gear. Yeah,
Yeah.
COVID presented an environment for people to sit here and be able to go, oh, okay, this is, I'll look at media, I'll do yoga, I'll do something else, but they're always in front of their monitors.
Right.
So it was there, it was everywhere. And then the fact that everyone was, and kids, hey, let's not forget them. Them teenagers were home. So when you have teenagers that were full of spit and fire, and they are a lot more spit and fire than we are, they don't like what's not right. These kids are more pragmatic. My daughter, it's weird. I love Polaroid cameras. Mm-hmm. She loves Polaroid cameras. I'm sitting there going, don't you have a phone? Have you used that before? She goes, no, because it's not as, so they're different. This generation, active, they don't have the fear that we have of, oh, I'm fearful that I'll do something because I'll lose my retirement. They don't have that fear.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why I think that is really what's really kicked it in the over years.
You bring up a good point about generations too, and my personal belief system in the generation of today is it's a lot of regurgitated bull crap, and I think unfortunately that they're nitpicking some of the poorer choices of my generation, generations before me, to kind of emulate. So, for example, when I was in 4th grade, I wore Jordache jeans, right? And I had a hot pink comb in the back pocket. And today they call them skinny jeans, right? And it's it's just regurgitated stuff, right? Like if you couldn't put on your Jordache, if you didn't use a hanger to put on your Jordache, they were too loose. You know what I mean? You had to jump from a bed to put them on. But
Jinko pants.
So I think the activation. So going back to my question about, do you think it was an overreaction? So, and not to get in, I'll ask you one specific question in a little bit, not to go off on another tangent, but I do want your opinion on it, because it will be a completely different subject for another time. But right now, I'm going back to that overreaction question. Is that
okay?
So during the Freddie Gray incident in Baltimore, you saw that a lot of looting and rioting happened, and it was right in that immediate area, right? And you had firefighters trying to put out fires and old folks' homes, and they were stabbing hoses and stuff to stop that. Yeah. So it wasn't even like a matter of like, hey, we need justice. It was just outright, chaos. And you see a lot of similarities in that in Milwaukee, right? And the recent one, the one in Atlanta, I'm sorry, his name slips me right now, Brooks.
Yeah.
And I don't want to ruin his first name.
No, it's okay, because I'm like these. It's so much.
I got 500.
That I'm like,
So the very next day after he died, in the parking lot of the Wendy's, somebody came in and burned the Wendy's to the ground.
That's true, and I saw that. I was like, what is that?
But so, and that's what I'm talking about. So when I say, do you think that there's an overreaction in that sense? Not, I get anger, I get it, and I'm not going to get in the simple battle of why. I understand people getting angry enough that they want to burn their house down, but what do you think fuels that? What do you think fuels the idea that, because there's two types of people, maybe a handful of people there really thought that they were serving justice by burning down a building, right? Like F Target, and we're going to stick it to the man, and maybe and we're going to show them that Black lives do matter. Maybe a handful, and I don't even know that that's that many, but what do you think fuels that kind of anger in a person?
I mean, I could easily say indifference. I could easily say that, right?
Yeah.
But I'm not going to lie. There are also factors at play that want to see it get blamed.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that there are not people out there that rightfully feel so angry that they're going to steal your Jordache jeans. No, I don't feel like That's not going to happen. I
feel bad
think
if they did.
that what I think is cool, to stay on point, the overreaction. I'll be honest, the overreaction. How would you react when you see someone die?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
No,
that is a personal
there's
thing. I don't think
my rate of emotion, and I understand that, you know.
But like I said, I think there's other entities at play
Yeah.
sometimes to actually make things worse. So it was, I'm trying to remember what it was, but that's what it was. Minnesota. The one thing that was so freaking cool, and I was thankful to see that it occurred, the public safety office. They actually did a well-rounded scope of not just arresting the people that were rioting, but they even detail statistics on where were they coming from.
Yeah.
None of them were from that state.
Exactly. External.
Exactly. They took advantage of an opportunity, and everyone did not let that pause the movement. The other times, other situations, like you said, stabbing of hoses and stuff in Baltimore, there was not a focus of trying to balance the news. There was more of a, so nowadays, with this situation, with the eyes on everything, and people really feeling and seeing someone die, people are trying to do a balanced effort. And when Minnesota public safety guy, he said in Minneapolis, he said, we found that 11% of the people that were arrested were not from the state.
Right.
And they were all from where the states were. Exactly. He actually did it. And he was like, it was almost like he was the cyber guy. He goes, well, we found that. And then we blocked a DDoS. And I was like, okay. So myself being a cyber geek, I look at the whole thing and I'm going, it's just taking advantage of a situation that's already bad.
Yeah.
And it's not people that are not having a focus on what is the right thing to do at this time. There's going to be anger, like you said. There's always anger. So
yeah. So, well, and thank you. I think, I mean, you bring up some awesome points there, and I'm not trying to get caught up into the whole conspiracy thing.
Exactly. I don't want to get into that either, but I look at facts.
Yeah, we've politicized enough of this, but
exactly.
I think a lot of people, when we see it on Facebook and we see people posting stuff like this, even on Instagram, I think people are getting caught up on this higher emotion, and we're never going to make change if we're at level 10 when we haven't even fixed level 2. And I so I have two quick questions for you, because I'm sure I have other people I can talk to about coronavirus just specifically, right? But real quick, what is your opinion of coronavirus itself? Because I know you've compared this. I know where it's put you, but what is your overall opinion? And I'm probably going to ask other people this in the future anyways, even if we're talking about different topics, but your opinion, just a general opinion of COVID.
Now, I know someone's going to probably make a soundbite out of this, but thank God for COVID.
Okay.
There has been a reimagination.
Okay.
There has been a new look at how to do things now. For instance, trying to find wipes. You know how difficult it is to find kitchen wipes? Remember, they were circular. Guess what they've done? They've gone square.
Yeah.
Didn't know that. Went to the store looking for that. Innovation has really kicked into gear. Sure. Now, you might see a bunch of people selling masks with different names, like, I don't even know where to go. But it's just that innovation has really come back. And as much as I hate the fact that people are dying, and that the whole situation could have been handled differently.
Sure.
I can't get into the politics of it, but the fact is,
that's a different episode.
I know, but had the whole nation at one time done what I believe would have helped, and then maintained a slow internal process and a slow, let's get out a free card, that I think that we would not be in the spike situation that we have in California, Texas. That's what I feel, because I was supposed to take my kids.
I asked for your opinion. I can go on a tirade on this too, but that'll be for probably somebody else in a different interview. And I hope you pay attention to that, because there's some great information for that. So anyways, and the final question I have, because I'm going to have to close out here, the time is limited on this thing.
Gotcha.
The last question, this is gonna be a tough one. This is another one for another
Mm.
discussion. I may bring you back on this one, but because hey, everybody, I got a black friend and I got the T-shirt, so I might as well, you know what I'm saying. So my question, and feel free, is how has so in Black female and Black America, how has BLM or George Floyd's death, which at this point they're two totally separate things,
Hmm.
how have you been affected since personally and individually since George Floyd's death? Has anything changed in your life, or have you been like, and not emotionally, but like actual real concrete, like, yeah, the other day I was walking down the street and somebody called me the N-word, or something like that. You know what I mean? Like how has it affected you, say differently than a year ago? Are you a different person now because of that, as opposed to a year ago?
So one of the things that I was taken aback by, but thankful for, is
Mm,
that I still work for Department of Defense, right?
yeah.
And one of the big dogs, a 1-star, we had a telecom with him,
Yeah.
and I thought to myself, one, holy crap, he brought the subject up.
Mm-hmm.
Two, put out a memo. Let me tell you, historically speaking, anytime there's been some major events, it's a broad stroke over. We all are doing this and we all should look at this.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of now, he went at it and said, we should all look at how Black Lives Matter and our life. I was like hearing
Right.
this going, whoa. I said, this is a big deal. And so for me personally, when I have, I'm not gonna lie, all white men in my job,
Yeah.
I've always been in that situation
Yeah.
because throughout the Air Force, my job was, it took what, a year to go to school. There was
Yeah.
only 6% women, 2% Black. Oh,
Yeah.
no, one. That would be me. So the fact is, when you have a career field like this is cyber related or
Yeah.
electronic communications related, I'm already used to the fact of having to succumb, having to shrink back, having
Yeah.
to play it down because any reaction I make, any anger I have,
Right.
had always been pointed at or
Yeah.
looked at, overlooked. So it was not until NCOA that I realized, why haven't I been asked for quarterly awards?
Right.
And as the airman put it, he goes, well, Keita, it's on you now. He said, you got
Yeah.
the power to do it, make it happen. And when I realized that, taking into account all these years,
Mm-hmm.
what was it? And once again, bias. So I was very shocked to hear our boss bring it up, actually say the words, actually mention the names. To say the names
Yeah.
and recognize this is what has changed. This has
Well, I mean,
really put this on a different
look
level.
at your chief of staff now, and
Oh yeah.
praise be, and
We know that was part of it. I'm
I
not
I,
gonna
wa-
lie.
I
Yeah,
thought he
that
was
has
gonna
a lot to
cry
do with
in
it.
his message.
Yeah.
I watched it. It was very moving. So would you say, real quick, little psychoeducation, little education for everybody there.
Okay.
If you all really want to understand what Marquita is talking about out there, and Marquita, feel free. There's a sociologist named Patricia Collins. She's from like the 60s. She's brought up the theory of intersectionality.
Yep.
It will definitely enlighten you a little bit more about the plight of not only women but Black women in the United
Yeah.
States. And if you think that there's not a real like that we have this equality, it'll definitely get you thinking and have you asking questions. So I think one of my biggest drives is socioeconomics, and it's not even a matter that women are making less than men so much, but it's a reality. And people will try to put statistics out and say, maternity leave and all this kind of stuff and types of jobs and roles that they take. There's some great information out there, and some of it holds true. But the bottom line is that socioeconomically, women are not treated as equal as their male counterparts in the same job, regardless of the color of their skin, but also in part of their color of skin, because it's one of these things to say I'm a woman and I'm going into an all male office. It's a completely different thing to say I'm a Black woman going into an all white office.
It's like no.
But the thing is that even all, and I know people are like, wow, Black and white, and let's say 5 white people that you work with, right? And people don't know you. Anyways, let's say I got you, but let's say you work with 5 white guys, right, in that office. And
Always.
they can all be supportive of every black person they've ever met. Zero, like, overt racism, possibly no covert racism. It's still a thing, right? It's still a thing
Yeah.
with a black woman working, because it doesn't matter what they do. You can feel intimidated regardless. And who am I to tell you, well, you shouldn't feel that way?
And they do that.
I have irrational fears all the time, and they're valid. They're absolutely valid. So if there's no rationality when you walk in the office and there's 5 white people and you're like, man, they don't like me, and that's your anxiety kicking in,
That's
they don't have
anxiety
to
kicking
do
in.
nothing, and it's still irrational anxiety. So I want people to start understanding that. It's like, and this will be for my COVID discussion. It's like wearing that mask. We argue about the mask, right? Sometimes the mask causes me a trigger point. And people will say, it's simple, just wear a mask and separate and wash your hands. Well, simplicity isn't always the case with me in the mask. I power through it a lot of the times because I care about people and I just want people to be happy. But in the end, it may be irrational because they're saying, oh, it's just cloth. And I know that. I know it, but my brain shuts off and I get anxiety. So it's something that's very real, and we have to really address that. So final question, because I'm definitely running out of time here. So would you say that because that message came out from the Air Force and the leadership, would you say that that's a positive thing? Are we going forward? Are we making, maybe small baby steps, but progressive steps?
I'm hopeful. I could never say that before.
Yeah. Okay.
I wouldn't have said that before. I'm
enough.
hopeful that there is change being made prior to the chief of staff, coming on board.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It was just the fact that the talking about it, actually addressing it. One of the things they brought up was the fact that, military is infamous for, let's not talk about sex, politics, and religion.
Yeah.
But guess what? That's core to being Black. That's core to every ethnicity.
I mean, the 80s, honestly, like not sound like a dick, but in the 80s, we didn't do that. And I kind of liked it. And if you look at statistics, crime statistics and things like that, you'll see that it was a lot less when we didn't get involved. However, that doesn't mean that it's a good thing. It doesn't mean that we didn't have these. So I think this is a speed bump in our future.
Yeah.
And I think that we can get over it, and then we can realize that, maybe we need to level the road again. Instead of having speed bumps, let's just level the road. You know what I mean? So, but okay. Todd, I want to be able to get this outro. So, do you have anything you want? Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for answering my questions.
No problem.
You gave me ADHD over the damn camera. Is there anything you'd like to promote? I know you do a little thing on Facebook. Do you want people to come and try to add to your group, or are you planning on anything in the future, like a YouTube channel or anything?
So right now I have what is called, and you might find it amusing, the title's Shit Kita Says, with a $sign at the very beginning. So when you look for it, that's where it is. It's on Facebook.
Okay.
I do have Instagram tied in, but let's not get too crazy about that. It is just starting. When you got Jerrod as a friend who's sitting here trying to, make you look bad, you just want to start. I started thinking about it. Let me go ahead and get this started. So I have been considering doing my own show and pussyfooting into the subjects.
Ooh, that's correct. You just said pussyfoot. You got a whole feminist nation after you now.
I know. Oh, offend them.
It's crazy. We could have 19 topics in just one sentence. So.
It's like, did you just do that? No, okay. So why are you pointing your finger? Okay. So the fact is that, I have a site, but hey, if you want, anyone can follow it. It's a public group. It's not private. Okay. It is more or less, I want people to see that site and look at things outwardly in.
Sure.
Get a laugh, think about it, consider something different. That's usually what I always look at.
I think that's absolutely important. So I will put the link to Kita's page on down below. I'm doing this down below thing. I don't know how the whole YouTube thing works. And then you can make contact with her. Well, Marquita, it's been an honor. It's a pleasure to see you again.
I know.
And I'm gonna close this up real quick. Thank you, everybody, for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this. This is the first episode. Again, if you want any topics that you want to talk about, don't just put it up there that you want to talk about something and not get interviewed. Don't be a chicken. Get up, get on here, and we can have great dialogue. I ask that you just have respect, and that's it. Statistical data. If we throw stats out there, I challenge every one of you to go look them up for yourself. Do not believe me. And I do a ton of research. I may be right. You look it up, you find out I'm right. No harm, no foul. If I'm wrong, come back and correct me. I just want this knowledge. I want dialogue. So I hope you all enjoy this. I hope you look forward to the future show of the next episode.
Their audio's getting low.
What's that now?
The audio started falling off on me. I don't know if it's my end.
I may be covering the microphone too, but
oh, there you go.
Okay, I was covering with my big fat belly. I'm on my Mac.
Oh.
All right. So, all right, everybody. Again, thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you all again next time. And as usual, God bless you. God bless your family, and God bless America. This has been another Whatever Jerrod Says.